go, Superboy. Stop dancing. You get your headset on and get ready to go because it's our final day of Last Chance, Jackie. And we're already in it. Dear me, the game is starting fast. I wasn't ready.
You hit the button accidentally, Blake.
I think I did.
Elbowed it. He
when I was showing it off.
Button. Yeah, he accidentally manhandled it.
I fat-handed it.
Distracted by the dance moves. It happens. It happens, Blank. But this is where it's taken us. Your big red button antics have taken us straight to our last Sandhawk. It feels like it was so long ago we started things, about 4 weeks ago now here on Sandhawk, Blank. Now we have our last time we're going to see this battleground in a lobby that has been delicious.
Oh, feels like sadness to me because it's all finishing, but also I'm excited to see which teams do end up in that top 5. We saw just then that Team Queso currently have the highest average here over on Sandhawk. It was about 18-point average, maybe a 19-point average there, which is sort of ridiculous overall considering Team Queso is on 52 points. So around about, let's say 60% of their points are coming from Sandhawk so far. So they are certainly extremely good at this one. They're starting things off with a hot drop over towards the Gladiators, who I think at this point in time we could probably consider out of the top 5. So Team Queso just looking to pump their points further versus the team they know to be quite weak.
That's the ideal scenario, really. If Gladiators are going to give them the opportunity, dangling points in front of them here, as Meku has dropped further away from the rest of the pack, so has no trade potential, no room for backup, and it's an easy freebie. They secure that one, grab it in the bag. All Tixie can do is watch down and quake in his boots, knowing that they've already given up some free elimination points today. Inco get the free drop as well on Ruins, so no contest there. Mad Bulls moving off, and that will be a bit of a pass, a little backdoor deal on that one, Blank, for the drop spots.
Yeah, head on to that outside edge. And I think I respect that from Mad Bulls, right? You don't want to go for this same hot drop every single time because honestly, at this point, you could... Nah, that's bad news. You could consistently say that Inco are sort of causing themselves problems with this hot drop, right? If Mad Bulls decided they wanted to go for this one once again and just take their chances on getting those 4 eliminations and getting out of there, that could go either way, right? And Inco would be in an even worse of a deal. Right now, 30 points. They still have a chance to get towards that top 5. Mad Bulls, it's not a similar story at 16 points overall. Like the guys saying on the desk, I think it is sort of over for our region in EU. Days, I think it's pretty much donezo for Gladiators as well. With the way this Sandhawk is starting out, that's going to be very bad for the mental game. But for Inco, they claim themselves control of Ruins after some very brute forcing over towards that position of the map. Might give them a better chance here, considering they are actually able to get going fairly quickly without the risk of Nick McGalaxy taking a peek in, who don't even bother with it. They realize they need to have the most unbelievable day if they want to make it into the top 5, which quite frankly, I would say not impossible. Probably a 98% chance that they're not getting in here.
Yeah, it really would have to be something absolutely unfathomable from this game all the way to the end of the day. Back to back, really. We'd need to see non-stop shenanigans from them. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be happening. Thought potentially as well, having a look at the map feed, there was a chance we were going to see a bit of a late play from the Mad Bulls, just sort of guarding for the rotate out through Ruins. But instead, they've taken their time to loot up and just have a little bit of a scouting party. So advanced positions, they'll get a bit of a read on how things are going early, but thrown themselves into a fight versus Inco. They've given them safe passage across the bridge and back up into the zone, where Tixie has now spotted them and got a bit of a read. Meanwhile, Duxan are making a move though and could run into the Mad Bulls. So a few potential bits of contact already occurring here as squads are sizing each other up.
I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of teams have already made that move, right? Influence Rage, passed off from boot camp. They immediately sent across the river towards those eastern compounds in Sandhawk. Reject similarly made a rotate through Trifecta. They're on the southern side, so we're cramming a lot of teams into a small space right now. And with Gladiators going down to 2, that does give a lot more room for these other teams to play, because you've got your main team that drops over towards that northwest island, already cut down to 2 players, which gives a lot of the other teams on the outer edges easier access to their spots, specifically over towards that little eastern hilltop. That is a really strong position that we know a lot of teams love to go for. DX getting themselves into an engagement. This is off to the western side of Paris Resort right now, as they both attempted to make their way across the North Bridge. Lamborghini, though, takes a heavy hit there from Prepod, and he will hit the second too. So DX going down to 2 players, most likely. It's pretty bad for their run. Remember, they're in 5th place right now, 46 points. 2 players right off the rip here in Sandhawk. And they were playing well, man. I actually really like the way DX has been playing out a lot of these games, but I don't think this team comes online until Erangel, to be quite honest with you. That's where they find the majority of their points. So the midday heightened senses for DX are certainly what we're looking for going forward. So I can sort of understand why they wouldn't mind writing off a Sandhawk like this, but, you know, not getting a huge amount of points here early on is a bit of a struggle going forward, Jackie.
No, you are right, man. You know, they've kind of got their 2 different forms, right? Sandhawk, sleep. Erangel, excited. That's what we see coming out from DX. That's really where they have been able to... yeah, that's what it's like, man. It feels that, you know, they get the running shoes on. They're holding B blank and they're just running non-stop. It makes a world of difference for them as well. But that is an unlucky start, taking so much damage and being left with only, you know, half of the squad very early into this one as well, because that's the other thing. Well, although we've already seen a little bit of, you know, early combat, we're seeing the way some of these teams are looking coming into it in terms of the body language already. This game hasn't been live for very long. So that's rough for DX, like you're saying. You're in 5th place and you're only a stone's throw away from falling out of that as well, as IHC are right on your tails. The Mongolian side 43 points to DX's 46, so a thimbleful there and we could see a change. Meanwhile, we see a rotate here through the blue. BTR driving on by. They've got the tunes blaring, some Katy Perry on the radio, so they've been detected, blank, but there's not really much room for the chase just yet. So free info as they go roaming through the map, looking to get themselves situated on their rate.
Yeah, man, this is threatening Katy Perry, right? You know, you blare it off in the distance, people are like, whoever's playing that, probably we shouldn't mess with them. They're very confident coming into this game if they're going to be blasting that one out the speakers. That's towards that south side in Sami. You can't quite see them on your screens just yet, but they were rotating on past through Nigma Galaxy. Duxan yet to make a move outside of Ruins, but it's already been picked clean kind of by both Inco and Mad Bull. So Duxan just waiting for their opportunity. There you go. Start to see the BTR boys peek their heads in towards the circle as we head on to our stage 2, which sent us up towards that northern side of the island. So FaZe Clan, after their miraculous results over towards the last 2 games in Miramar, where we know they shine, they get themselves a little bit of luck here up towards that northern edge. So Hatting controlled by them, but a really nice split, I would say, so far. Bit dangerous for Vintores, though. We know that hilltop. I talked about it before. It's very much a focal point for a lot of teams, gives you so much control, but you will have teams fighting for that one. And I don't know if one player is going to cut it, but as a position to hold this early on, and maybe as an anchor point for the rest of the team to regroup on, it's great news.
Depends on how the cookie crumbles then when push comes to shove. If they can hold the angle, use it to the best of their ability. So far, it looks good. Elim feed bodes well for them as they pick up an opening knock onto Brute Force. Brute Force that are currently under an attack from Influence Rage. They've swooped down onto him and done a nice chunk of damage, leaving a couple of the players on their last leg. Similar story, though, for Law, as he's taken a bite back. Going for the quick medic mission as well. They want to reset the fight on this one. You've got other players, meanwhile, duking it out as BTR are taking a ton of damage from the Galaxy boys. So the Cosmos clash continues there. Nice nade round the corner. That's a big pickup that will shut down another man. Brute Force still holding on though, blank. All things considered, they're trying to scrape by on this, but the nades are the difference maker as FaZe are starting to backstab now.
Yeah, this is an interesting push coming from FaZe, and I think you realize that any team that's in this position is sort of in that contention for that hilltop. They've left Vintores up top side. He's returned to the team now. They'll get his third party done and then maybe regroup on that position. This is an extremely aggressive push from FaZe. It's one that could be very risky. They're already losing players here from Udo Alliance as Mela tries to hold down the fort. Mormon's down and out. And they could have maybe just held on to that hilltop, but they got hungry. They got a little bit greedy, whilst Influence Rage handedly takes down the rest of Brute Force here. YDO and Prepod behind the rook. I don't know how many more nades Influence Rage still has on board, but this is an excellent defense from them at an excellent time as well, because Influence Rage 8th place, but very close to moving into that 5th place barrier.
And we know they can do it with the sheer skill they've shown us when it comes to Elims. A team that feels like even when the odds are stacked against them, they play very confidently, very bold into a lot of the engagements they take. In the meantime, though, FaZe starting to take damage in the battle of attrition as the backline is full of other squads. From a distance, you've got Udo Alliance that are just taking pot shots wherever they can see a little bit of skin from FaZe. There was also Rook with Eugene miles away on the other island even, hitting some long-distance shots to punish them and leave their HP far lower than they would like in a position like this. So this fight, now not very sustainable. You know, this has been going on for a very long time. The idea of this being a quick cleanup for Influence Rage and cure a few points from it, that went out the window a while ago. Now you're looking at not making too many mistakes with how many eyes are on you. Fight's not stopping though, Blank, as everyone is scrapping to have some sort of area to play in at this point.
Mate, this is currently a 2v4 going on between Gladiators and Team Queso. Not sure how they've pulled off what they did. Circle's nasty, heads up towards that northeast side. AHC very pleased with this considering they're not quite in yet. More Molotovs sent over the top, not too many nades, but the rest of Gladiators do regroup. Raze is providing that information back. Arta and Big Milo to hold it down in that front line. Another nade goes through, won't find too much damage, a little bit of a tag over towards Tixie. That's about it, and I think he realizes, get rid of Raze. He's providing too much of that information back towards them. When they strike, they'll know about it. But Team Queso, this is a pretty sad result for them. Remember, this is the team we were talking about, saying that they had one of the biggest percentages in terms of those average points on Sandhawk. To go down versus two players that you already took down half the team from would feel very, very rough. There's still comeback potential there, but with this circle moving up towards the northeast side, both these teams not in the greatest of spots.
No, for pre-pod, it's basically like having a very low-quality barbecue outside camping by the burned-out car. Just toasting his marshmallows, mate. Yeah, that's all he's got, you know. The family said we'll go on a camping trip. Pre-pod's thinking, oh, this will be fun. In reality, this is the camping trip. It's not ideal, Blank.
At the door, or at least at the horrid tent that's been allowed to be brought with them. That takes 3 hours to put up. And everyone gets mad at one another as Brute Force attempts to keep control, keep that cool. IHC looking over towards Rook right now. Zol's in, but the entire room is smoked up. Rami goes down. That will be one player from Rook out here. IHC claiming control over towards the southeast side. They're still on, technically, the eastern island. You got Reject that claim control over the hilltop towards that western edge as FaZe sort of threw this game away. I don't think they had to third party down to Brute Force. If they were able to take down both those teams, fantastic, excellent news. But you gotta know that there is a lot of teams trying to push in from that northeast edge. So the amount of sight lines that are available over towards FaZe where they had barely any cover to work with, it was somewhat of a weird play. Nades coming in. Alex moves into the building, will be immediately knocked here, gets into the smoke, survives for a bit longer, but it's Nenabet Che taking down Tixie on that top side, and Godless with some DBSs coming through the window to try and keep this one alive. Somehow Alex manages to escape, Jackie.
It's pretty heads up as well. They jumped straight on to the revive and reset the fight, knowing they had the smokes down. And Alex was lucky that the smoke was still there to block him as well. So the line of sight not going in favor of Rook. Instead now, just trying to play on the back foot, the defense, as they knew they were being pushed. And IHC come out like the katana, swinging their way through and slicing them in half. They've got a bit of an interview buff today as well on stage, talking a big game. Alex saying that they're not scared of any. The only mention that he gave was to FaZe. And like you were saying, FaZe, they've basically come into this one and put a big X on their back, Blank. And, you know, other teams have just jumped to the occasion instantly. They've been farmed up with not having enough cover to play off of, thought they found an opportunity to steal away some very easy elims. Instead, the only easy eliminations were on FaZe. And you're just playing with a solo now. You know, effectively, you're thinking maybe you can play some snaky PUBG Mobile, deliver around and pop up towards the end of the game, maybe get a couple of placement points. But having a big burner on the last Sandhawk of the whole event isn't going to be happening for them here.
Absolutely not. This is pubg Evos up towards the northwest side. They just got themselves out of the blue, but running directly in towards the Mad Bulls, who all have nades in their hands, looking to explode the opposition as they make their way in. Nice setup from pubg Evos with these backstops, making it very difficult for the Mad Bulls to do anything whatsoever. Exploring the vehicle is good, but a nading towards the backside will leave Mad Bulls feeling black and blue here. Misery gets burned up. A crucial Molotov comes through. Now Redface has to come in to try and save face in this situation, Procedure.
Zuxi, ooh, the Molotov out. Everyone's going to be burning behind the rock. The moss is going up. The ecosystem is not doing well for the wildlife, but right now it's Zuxi that burns in his own fire. Gets striked back upon as Zerich head for the encounter. And that's one you can't afford to lose in that manner. It cannot go down that way, Blank. That feels like such a misplay.
That should have been an easy victory for them as well. Mad Bulls were totally struggling on this western edge. But Luxy running into his own molly. The moss a bit more flammable than he expected there. Takes himself down. Flique will drop to the zone. I'm not sure how much life Zerich has got left in him to get further into this match, but they'll be certainly happy with the 4 eliminations, or at least 3 eliminations they're able to garner on that side. Gladiators eliminated 4 eliminations, 14th place, no placement points for them, but at least a little bit of something, but just so unlikely. Reject, though, very pleased with their positioning. I think they quickly identified this spot was open down towards that south side, playing off the back of it. Enigma Galaxy, look at this, Jackie. It's the day 2 buff. It comes in clutch for them every single time. Actually find themselves somewhat of a decent rotate up towards this western side after they were able to take a really good fight versus BTR early on and gather themselves a bit of storm going into this match. But the circle, again, moving away from all these favorable spots towards Udo Alliance and IHC. Very playable position now for both these teams, but they've got to get across first. With the side swipe available for both these squads, it's just a matter of time, because you desperately want to get up towards that coastal edge so you can start taking shots over towards teams like Influence Rage, Brute Force, Duxan as they attempt to make their way over towards that coastal side. It's just rough here. Duxan attempting to leave from Hartin, get towards that southeast edge and crush all the teams that are attempting to push their way through Hartin on the western side.
I love how Ventores has been basically like the mosquito that's just whizzing by Enigma Galaxy. He's been kind of just annoying them in the backline, Blank. He's only a solo, but he's been popping up time and time again, just taking shots at them, just being a bit of a nuisance. And they've decided to move because of it, opting to look for some compound control to play with. They funneled themselves to one building, but Lufa's here. Big damage done with the big gun as he leaves them all just clamoring to stay alive. I mean, yeah, they've popped the smokes, they've got themselves tucked into the building, and at least probably can reset on the players that have been down. Oh, hello, Squash. He's lived up to his name. He's still alive, Blank.
What?
He's still alive.
How what?
He's got steel toe tap boots on, Blank. He's taking it on the chin. He's dead.
Goodness me, I think the only way that happens is as he's dying, literally in those moments, the stim has to tick him up by like maybe 1% of HP, but it took the vehicle straight to face. Maybe it wasn't going fast enough, who knows, but surviving that is silly.
Left looking like a roll of toothpaste.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't live up to his name because he certainly wasn't squashed in that situation versus Reject, but wow. Well done, I guess, to live the first initial car. I don't even think Reject intended for that to happen either. It was just a bit of a scout, understanding that there's probably teams still on the top side of the hilltop. Just lucky that they get the roll down off the back of it. Circle over towards Enigma Galaxy. Fortunate to get that little shack early on here. Now, a lot of teams will have to push in towards and Reject opt to go for themselves. A little bit of a 2-2 split. Got 2 players still playing up on high, and Influence Rage decides it's a time to put an end to the camping trip on the outside edge.
Oh, they've had enough. They don't want to share the camping grounds any longer, but it seems like Prepod, he wants to be the new landlord. He's grabbed the contract for the camping grounds and he's starting to put his foot down as the DBS sings strong. Federal watching his entire team melt one by one and just sitting in the camp office, just thinking, what on earth do I do now?
dear me. I mean, for Influence Rage, just the worst happening. Because they had a chance here to actually play from this southern edge and get into the circle later on. But losing a fight like that versus Brute Force in 15th place certainly hurts your chances a bit. And we know that Influence Rage, they needed to get a move as possible up to 6 eliminations so far. You can see here, Udo Alliance were the first ones to cross on the bridge, got up towards that bottom side, but Duxan, still a rough journey ahead of them. You're completely exposed to these teams underneath the bridge here. IHC still behind them, but living up to what they wanted in the interview, which is get more placement points.
And it looks good for IHC to do just that. They've been so good at getting eliminations, but placements were the thing they could not get their fingertips on for love nor money. So if they can change that today, it could do wonders to keep them the eliminations as they're just eating bullets blank. It's Godless that snatches it as well, so that'll be another one for IHC. Quick reaction from Zara. Wow, straight down. Resets. They had the entire squad from Enigma Galaxy trapped inside this little shed for quite some time, so they're still just peppering them anytime they peek out. This is a fight that could get a little bit messy though. Udo Alliance on the bridge being ushered into the zone with the blue. Godless and Co from IHC on top. He jumps down. He goes for the acrobatic assault. 0-pointer on that.
Yeah, I mean, he could have gone for something a little bit more here, but it's Brute Force from Prepod forgets about the player from Influence Rage, still inside the building. As Federal strikes in a moment, hold things down to 5 eliminations. Nice little play from Influence Rage there to come out swinging. Kept very, very silent for a long, long time. Reject still on that top side. Duello tries to drop off to get into a better spot here. Sarah goes down, and that will be Reject going out in 4th place. But from that high ground position, we're able to steal away a lot of those eliminations here. YDO moves forward. Not a lot of chance to get Prepod back up again. Enigma Galaxy afforded a very nice little win here with the compound. I say compound, the shack they're able to hold on to. They will go down. That's Enigma Galaxy win on the cards. A difficult push for them, a difficult choice to make. Do we take the shack? Is it worth it? And it certainly was here.
Wow, could have been a lot worse as well. You know, when they initially took control of that shack and moved in, they were ruined in terms of the manpower, brought down to just 2 players surviving, but the resilience is shown. And that's a hell of a comeback. That's at least a better game from them. You know, a facelift from what we had yesterday, Blank. If there was a time to put a right foot forward, this is a good one. It's just the fact that the sheer longevity of the mission they've got to go on to make it towards that top 5, it's so hard. It's so unachievable. But if they're getting a start like this, who knows? We'll leave it in fate's hands.
Yeah, that 2% chance. Maybe it's here. Maybe they rolled the dice and maybe they came up with the 6s. We'll have to wait and see it. It's kind of an interesting game, that one, because a lot of our teams towards the bottom side actually ended up doing well in that match. Reject, you know, you saw Duxan get far into that match as well. Brute Force with themselves a 2nd place, and Enigma Galaxy with the chicken dinner. These are our bottom 3 teams, 14th, 15th, 16th respectively. They get themselves a high placement in this game. Udo Alliance certainly benefits from this match as well with their 41 points at the start of the day. That should, I would imagine, with a lot of our teams in the 1st to 5th place going out.
Play and so much excitement. We've seen a lot of crazy things, so let's go for something a little bit more normal. It's the classic, vintage, dulcet tones of Jason Kaplan and the Deaths. Let's get back over there.
You know, somebody did the El Clasico of PUBG Mobile here, as we did get to see Enigma Galaxy take a start, a win. I'm not going to hype it up too much since they were bottom of the table at like 5 points, but this is the start they need to potentially have a chance to get through top 5 and we saw the exact same thing happen for them in our survival stage.
Yeah, let's be real. There is always the potential across 6 games that teams like this, teams who have shown excellence in the past, can make magic happen on a final day. And Enigma Galaxy, they threaded the needle to be able to get to some of these spots because they were coming in late to trying to get to these compounds. I was surprised that the compound south of Hartin was open, but they were able to blitz through to it, never mind the